Hello and good day. Hey, welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. We're here because we're on a mission to inspire other people to get outside and enjoy outdoor adventures such as we have as a family. Today's episode, we are featuring a second round with one of our favorite guests, Dennis Rogers from Canoehound Outdoor Adventures on YouTube. Yay!
Hey, how you doing, guys? Long time no see.
Great. How are you?
It has been a while, man.
Yeah, doing well.
Yeah, what
Been
have
a
you been
busy
doing?
summer.
What have you been up
Pardon
to?
me?
What have you been
What
up
have
to?
I been up to? Oh my gosh. Not just me, but my whole family. The summer's been a real whirlwind of activity. July and August and September here and leading into October. It's just we've been busy. It's every weekend's been booked with one thing or another, whether it's family or pleasure things or whatever it might be. But yeah, it's been probably the most busy summer that I've experienced in my entire life, and it's showing no signs of settling right now with the daughter's wedding in 2 weeks from recording date here, and yeah, there's a reason for all the gray hair.
I know that one, man.
Yes.
Cool. So 2 weeks. Well, great. So this will air right around the same time then. The people will be listening to this right when your daughter got married, which is cool. And you just celebrated a birthday a week before recording this.
Yeah. I celebrated my 60th trip around the sun. Don't know if I feel 60, but yeah, I do. Some days. But no, it's I had a quiet birthday with the family. They took me out for a dinner. I had a choice between a fancy steakhouse like something like the Keg or something like that, or a local haunt restaurant in Niagara Falls called the Flying Saucer. Not sure if you're familiar with it or any of your listeners are, but it's a restaurant that's shaped like a flying saucer, and they got killer food at killer prices, and the grandkids love it. And I chose that because then my grandkids could be there as well. So yeah, it was a nice quiet day, but it was a fun day.
How old are the grandkids now?
Flynn just turned 2 on September the 5th. So he's about a week and a half before my birthday. And Oliver turns 4 years old on November the 5th. Or November 1st, sorry. So yeah, man, they just finished leaving the house like 10 minutes ago. We babysat because the youngest daughter and her husband celebrated their 5th anniversary, and we took the kids and had a little camp out in our camper in the driveway and made the best of it. Yeah, Canoehound, Grandpa, Family Guy.
Nice. Well, that's cool. That's I remember as a shorter person. We had neighbors that had a Bon Air, like a pop-up trailer, and they kept it in their driveway, and we would go over and play in there or do sleepovers and stuff. It was good fun. We really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you know what? You got the box. You might as well use it, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And so did you get them out paddling this summer?
Actually, yes. Well, my oldest grandson Oliver, I took him and his my son-in-law Max. We went out to QE2. It was a nice long weekend trip, and we got to experience all kinds of stuff like a bear in camp. We got to swim. Oliver got to paddle in the canoe for the first time. He sat on a pack in the middle, and I got a shorter paddle, and he's like just trying to give her as we're going along. And I was a little reluctant there, at first, like, is this kid going to tip our canoe or something? And no, he was fantastic, man. He sat in the middle like a good little man and helped the paddle, and he enjoyed it. And he keeps asking me, when are you taking me on cacation again? He calls it cacation instead of canoeing, right? And it's going to happen again. But yeah, he caught his first fish all by himself, like legitimately all by himself. He hooked it, he reeled it in. The son-in-law just helped him get it in, take the hook out. But it was like a 2-pound largemouth bass.
Nice.
His very first fish. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Beautiful. And then just to show it wasn't an accident, he did it again like less than 5 minutes later.
Showing up Grandpa.
Oh yeah, he did indeed. Yeah. So that was a really cool experience.
And you had a bear in camp, you said?
Yeah. We it was our first night. You've been to QE2, have you not, Tim?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we went in through Head Lake, and we paddled across Head Lake, and we just got up onto
Fish hog.
what's Fish, yeah, up to Fish Hog Lake. And from the last couple times I'd been there, the place was busy. We had a hard time finding a campsite. We ended up with a campsite over by where the portage is that goes up to the next lake up. There's like a
Yep.
little bit of moving water, and there's a nice point campsite there. Turned out to be a beautiful campsite, but as we turned in early because we had driven through the night to get there, and Oliver was tired, so we turned in. I was in my hammock. The boys were in a tent, along with Molly, the dog, and Max had to get up to get some of Oliver's medication. So he walked down the trail to where we had the food barrel stashed, and Molly followed him. And when they were coming back, Molly stopped, and she's right beside my hammock, and she's like, "Ruh, ruh." And I go, "Oh, there's something back there, probably a moose or a deer, right?" And they turned back in. Molly went back into the tent with them, and not 5-10 minutes later, this boat comes up to our campsite, and it was people camped across on the island that had boated over, and they seen this bear frolicking around just outside of our camp and getting closer and closer in. Right, so they come up with the motorboat and they're, "Hey, up on shore, anybody there?" We go, "Yeah, what's going on?" "I just thought you might like to know you got a bear in your camp, right?" And this is not long after having done the bear episode on Canoehound Outdoor Adventure Show, right? So it's
Right.
like, I got this. I got this kid. I'll make a lot of noise and stuff. But yeah, sure enough, there was a family with three young children. They were gone the next day. I think that it might have frightened the wife having small kids and this bear just wandering around. But we I think we made enough ruckus, and probably their boat made enough ruckus that the bear had taken off. I didn't actually see the bear, but they pointed out, they said, "No, it's like you can't see it, but we could see it right there behind that bush," right? It's like, and then the bear took off, and that was that. He didn't come back. I stayed up, watched guard over the food barrel and stuff because we didn't hang. There was no place to hang there, and at this campsite, and I just had the barrel placed well away from camp, and like, but within eye shot type of thing. And I kept an eye. It didn't come back. Midnight come, and I said, "Okay, I'm going back to bed now." So yeah, we're all safe. We're alive. Yeah.
That's that's a good thing. Do
Yeah.
you take like bear spray with you when you're backcountry all the time? Some of the time, never.
I've never owned a can of bear spray. But the more and more encounters that we see, because that's the second bear encounter. Like the first bear encounter was in the spring, and it wasn't an encounter; it was more of a sighting, close sighting. But uh, you know what? They're out there. I think it'd be good to have one, but I can tell you honestly, I don't know if I would carry it constantly on my belt. You know, like you see some people do it. I know I would take it off, set it down. I guess as long as it's within running distance, or but don't run around a bear. Every experience I've ever had was a black bear, a lot of noise, and they're gone.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah, I
mean?
agree.
But then you get the Chris Prouse experiences where you bang all the pots together that you want, and this bear, if he wants the food, and I've always been. People talk about the hang and don't hang and stuff like that. Take my food, take it, take the barrel, go away with it, man. That's my belief is if you take it, you get away with it, then I'm not going to have to worry about you in my camp and warding you off. So that's my opinion. Everybody's different.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, I would be, I would probably have a similar philosophy in the sense that I can paddle out. I can go get more food if I have to and come back if need be, whatever. Like depending how many days you're in, like how far in you've gone. But yeah, it's I I remember watching the Chris Prouse video and going, "Holy crap!" Well, yep, I give. It's yours. See you later.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
yeah. If he wants it, he wants it. And I'd rather, if you hang too close to camp, I'd rather that the bear was not trying to figure out how to get it. You know what I mean? Just take it and go. I always thought of leaving out a sacrificial bag of food for him too, right? But
That's true. Yep.
yeah,
Okay, cool. So you went to QE2. did you manage to get any other trips in this year?
You know what? I think 4 times, 4 outings. We did my buddy and I just did a spring. Well, everybody calls it ice out, but our early spring trip, we went to Naganosh and we did like a 4-day weekend, but went the deepest in the Naganosh area that we've ever been into. We went into the sort of southeast, okay, yeah, southeast end there over to Mud Lake, and found a fantastic little campsite there. Really nice area down there. I've never paddled down there. I've been to Naganosh, 10 times in the last 6-7 years, and never gone to this particular area. And it was well worth the extra paddle. And for the first time, we put in at the S's. We usually put in at Fleming's Landing. So that was kind of it was a totally different canoe trip for us, or outing. I'll call that an outing because it's only a shorty, and I've been there many times. What else did we do? Of course, I go to Wickstead every single year, Lake Wickstead, and I went up there with a few buddies, and we just instead of boat camping, we actually paddled in and were windbound all 3 days that we were there. So that was crazy. Back to the Naganosh one though. We actually had. I've been having problems on canoe trips where I haven't been seeing any wildlife whatsoever. Like small stuff, yeah, but never bears or moose or anything like that. On this trip, we seen on 2 different occasions. We seen 2 wolves on the way in, paddling in. We seen on a day side trip. We seen a big white-tailed deer right at the edge of the shore, and while we were out fishing one day, we sat and watched a black bear for a good half hour before he noticed us, and he was like sort of digging like a little spot to lay down and just sort of frolicking around. And then I made a sound with my paddle in the water, and his head popped up, and he took a few steps and stopped and checked us out again, and then he disappeared into the bush. So that was probably the most wildlife we'd seen in quite a while on a canoe trip. Otters, beavers, it was pretty cool. But I attribute that because it was early spring, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me personally, I'm pretty sure it's Thomas. Thomas is a magnet for like moose, deers. What did we either wolves or coyotes? I'm not sure which. When we were in QE2.
Yeah.
Bald eagles. Like if I don't take him with me, I don't see anything. I see squirrels and chipmunks. That's it.
Hardly seen any of them this year, but yeah, eagles. Isn't it great the resurgence the eagles have made?
Yeah, it's fabulous.
They're actually down here in southern Ontario now. Like a lot of them down here in Niagara. I've seen, within the last 2 weeks, I've probably seen 2 of them flying around in different areas, right? So they're I think starting to nest on the escarpment here in Niagara and stuff. But
Yeah,
it's
well,
great.
we had one here in a pair here in Toronto that were nesting had eggs. It was like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
it's way better than the cormorants because that's messy. That's just
ugly.
ugly.
Yeah. And then our biggest trip, we just did about 3 weeks ago from edit time here. My buddy Jay and I, who's been my regular canoe partner for the last 30 some odd years, we were going to do a route that was in Kevin Callan's book, up in Algoma. And until we found out, and it was right around the time that Kevin and Andy were going to do this big epic revenge trip for
Yeah.
Andy to Kevin, right? And I reached out to Kevin about it there just to get a bit of info because everything in his book says it's fly in, and then we found out we could drive in. But we also found out that all the lakes there are trout lakes, and he says you won't catch anything but trout in there. You're gonna have to fish deep, and it's a tough trip. So we decided to, because we're gonna go to that area, we decided to do another trip. We did Rocky Island Lake and a little bit of the Mississauga River. And it was a zero portage trip, Tim. You would have loved it. Zero portage. We had been on this lake about 3 or 4 years ago as part of our Aubrey Lake Winnebago River loop. And we said, we got to come back to this lake because it's so big and beautiful, and you really got to check it out. And that's what we did. So we drove right into the lake, and I'm talking, I got new pinstripes on my truck now, uh, from the alder bushes and stuff like that. 10, 11, 12 degree climbs up, loose gravel and rocks. And we get halfway in, and there's a trailer park community, like Pichu Lake, I think it's called. So we stopped and we talked to this one guy and said, "How do you get those campers in here?" And the guy says, "Low and slow, man." He says, "You can't rush in here." And I couldn't figure out how they would have got him in. But it took us an hour and 10 minutes to drive 13 kilometers.
Holy
So,
mackerel.
yeah, it was like boom, 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 right? We got in, we put in, and we camped at two of the campsites we camped at last time we were on Rocky Island. But it was really cool because we got to explore this lake. It's a huge lake with arms and bays and all kinds of islands and stuff like that. And it was a fantastic trip. We had a couple of bad windy days there as well, but in the end, we had some really good fishing, caught some great walleye, bass. Oh my gosh, we were catching 5 and 6 pound smallmouth bass, like almost, well, not every cast because that's exaggerating, but quite frequently. Um,
Totally
Jay caught,
jealous.
it looked like a football, man. He was a great big tank of a bass, and it had to be a 6 pounder easily. So yeah, that's what we like.
Sweet. That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good that you got out because I know I can't remember. I following something you were saying on Facebook, and it looked like there was going to be like the back end of the summer is just going to be a write off for you. It didn't look like you were going to be out. So yay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
You know what? In all reality, when Jay and I plan our trip, it's always like either the second or third week of August, and it's all in my calendar already for next year. It's never a question. It's always a given. That's our trip, and last year it was our Wabakimi trip, right?
Right.
But it's in the calendar, and other people find out about it, like our regular canoe friends, and if they want to join, they join. And this year nobody else can make it, so it was just Jay and I. And sometimes that makes it a lot easier when there's just two of you, because we're right on the same page. We've been doing this for so long, and it makes it all so easy.
Yeah, I so Thomas and I have been tripping together for so long now that we don't even have to talk anymore. You just you do that, I do this. We're going this way. We know each other's paddling styles, so we adjust for. I've tried to paddle on my own. I suck way more at it than I would have expected, just because of the strength of having somebody who knows exactly how it's going to play out, and they paddle the way that they need to compensate for whatever. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's a connection. That's why we have regular canoe partners, right? Like you've got Thomas, Kevin Callan's got Andy, I got my buddy Jay, and now Ingo as well. You're familiar with Ingo.
Yep.
But you know what? You get a canoe partner, and when you get to camp, there's no okay, who's gonna do this, that, or the other thing. Everything gets done. You know what I mean? You go, you find your spot for your tents, you get your camp set up, go get wood together, you come back, okay, let's cook supper. What do you want? What do you want? Or if it's freeze dried, have whatever you want. And then you're sitting down for a campfire at the end of the evening, and everything's done. Dishes are done. There's no guesswork to it. You just a fine oiled machine is what it equates to. So
yeah, well, I'm going to lose my fine oiled machine because he's 22, has a job, has a girlfriend. He's been a 22-year-old, so I'm trying to get a new well-oiled machine going here.
Yeah,
trying to cultivate somebody else.
There you go. I gotta watch my words, but you know what? Your fine oil machine will come back to you. Trust me. If he enjoys the outings with Dad, it'll come back definitely.
Yeah, I'm sort of joking. What it became. So this summer we did 7 days in Killarney, but we had another 7-night excuse me, another 7-night trip scheduled in early August around Barron Canyon in Algonquin, and that went out the window. I just couldn't make it work with his work schedule. Tried to reschedule it for the middle of September. That went out the window. So now it's 3 nights in the Massasauga with the young lady.
Now he's settling.
There you go.
Pamela, talk to my wife. Get her to go camping with me.
Cool. I can do that. I'll work on her.
No, and here's a message to Thomas. Thomas, every trip you miss with your dad is a trip you'll never get back with your dad. So, yes.
Good one. I like that.
Yeah.
So, other things. What does the Canoehound Outdoor Adventure Show hold for the future?
Oh, geez. You know what? I've my Facebook message book and emails have been lighting up about that lately. This season, well, just like last season, I'll start with last season. Last season was kind of a juggling game. It was up in the air whether I was going to actually have a season 5, just because when we first started Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show was during the pandemic, right? So Dennis had all kinds of time to, what else are you doing? You're confined to the house, right? According to the government. When it come time for like last season, and you would know this yourself, it's trying to be your own booking agent and your own producer and getting everything together. I'm also a business owner and a family dude, right? So there's so many things that are pulling Dennis at different directions, right? That last season was really, really tough, and it was. I had hoped to have a lot more episodes out than I did, and a lot of the times I had to say, you know what, there's no show this week, just because I did not either have time to find a guest or for a couple times I was pretty sick. I remember in December of last year, I was down for about a month with some lung thing going on, right? But neither here nor there. It's the commitment that it takes, and anybody who brings on guests onto their show realizes this. You look at Paddling Adventures Radio, another popular podcast. They used to have guests on all the time, and now I think they've kind of switched over a bit to reporting about news and events and stuff like that. And they still do a fantastic job. I love that podcast as well. But it's hard to drum up guests, and it really is, and topics. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Tim. You're a lot of your guests are YouTube based as well. Have you noticed there's not as much YouTube content out there? Um, you know, do you find that?
Yep, for sure.
Some of the popular ones, you know, feel bad for guys like Joe Robinette, who's off with injury right now and feeling pretty rough. I hope you have a speedier recovery there, Joe. But that there is missing now from the arsenal, and a lot of others that just sort of quietly drift off. Yeah, and all of a sudden you're not getting notifications from, and it makes it more difficult to drum up guests. So long story short, I know I'm rambling on, but season 6, a lot of people are asking me what's going on for this season, and I kind of mentioned it at I think at the closeout show of last season when Kevin Callan was on and stuff. That this season, if it was a go, will be a little bit different, where it's going to be sporadic. There's no way I can maintain a regular Tuesday evening schedule. Theoretically, here we are gearing towards the end of September, and I should already have had an episode or two, but just with so much going on, daughter's wedding, yada yada yada, I know excuses, but there just hasn't been enough time for me to put something together. I've been talking with Kevin Callan. I want to get him on the show, him and Andy, so we could have a great chat about his thing. But there again, it's just been the preparation time, really busy with work and all these things. So is there going to be a season 6? There's going to be a season 6, but it's going to be a lot more sporadic. And I hope my viewers can realize that and accept that and just take it for what it is. But I love doing it, and I wish I had more time to do it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's keeping, especially to keep that exacting schedule. So you're doing it, every Monday at 7 o'clock. Like that's a tough one, man. Life happens, right? And scheduling guests, finding them, coming up with all those topics, and then scheduling around people that are like busy is part of their deal. Like they're out doing things all the time. So it's like, oh, but I'm not available on Mondays or what have you. Life, man, life happens. We're trying to stick to publishing on Mondays. We've done one for season 2 so far. I'm pretty sure if I get my editing done today, we'll have 2 for season 2. It's going
to depend a lot on football.
There you go. All right.
Football interferes with Sundays. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it does for me too, because I'm a CFL and an NFL fan, right? So I'm following both right now. But yeah, that's the best thing. Like we've, and I'll even speak for you on this. We've had some fantastic guests on the show, some great conversations, some great topics of discussion, and that's the best part of doing what we're doing here is enjoying and learning from what we're doing, right? And to me, I don't want to lose that learning experience, that bonding experience with people that we admire watching on YouTube, or a story that you heard, or like, in some cases having past guests from Alone on, or, the Les Strouds, the Jim Bairds, it all accumulates into a great experience for just an average Joe. Tim, I'm you, you're Kevin. Yeah, we're all just average Joes that this is something that we enjoy doing. And I really don't want to give it up as a hobby. My wife says, you got this big, beautiful suite. I'm pointing at like my video screens and a microphone and everything. She says, you got this. What are you going to do if you stop doing the show? I go, I'm not going to stop doing it completely. I got all this investment. Like, I got a few $1,000s invested in, sitting right here in front of me, just to specifically to do this and to bring the show to people and to enjoy what I'm doing. So yeah, I don't want to blow the dust off like I kind of did before I come on with you here.
I know you presented at some of the outdoor adventure shows previously. Any plans to do that this year?
There again, that's things I've heard have changed for the main show that I present at, being the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show. I believe they've gotten rid of that stage that we present at, that all the YouTubers type of thing present at. I think they're moving it into a room. So I don't know. I haven't really had much conversation from the promoters of the show. If I did, I'd have to come up with some sort of presentation, because right now, off the top of my head, I have nothing unless I talk about the Algoma region, which is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I no immediate plans, but if they come calling, I'd probably be more than happy to. I love going to that show. So yeah,
cool. And there's one that's a new one this year, the Hamilton Adventure Expo. So that's closer to home for you, and that's I think that's the end of January, 22nd, 23rd, something like that. I think it's only a 1-day show. I don't think it's a weekend. That might be an interesting one, because it seems a little more focused on the outdoor adventure types, as opposed to, scuba diving in Bahamas or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've only had really quick conversation with the promoters of that. They just kind of reached out on Instagram and stuff, and they've already got all their presenters and everything, I guess, set up for that. I think they got like Karina's going to be there from Alexis Outdoors, Adam Schultz, and a handful of other. I think Tori Baird, I believe.
Tori's, yeah, I saw her name on the list.
Yeah, so I think they've already got their speaking roster set up, because it's a 1-day show. But I know the guys, my good friends from Kid Products, are going to be there. And when they go to a show, Dennis likes to go to the show with them and hang out with them, and promote their twig stoves and reflector ovens. But selfless plug for the boys there. But yeah, it's like you say, it's a lot closer for me. It's probably the closest show that we have, because there's no other ones in Niagara. Yeah, so I'll be there. If you're there, we'll hang out.
I'm pretty sure I will be.
Cool. Yeah. Sign out.
Yes, it's a date.
Might have to maybe tailgate. I've tailgated in the winter.
I might get talked into that too. We'll have to see
Yeah,
what happens.
for sure.
It's still a ways away, but I'm already excited about the shows. Like
Yeah.
that's the pinnacle of my year. I like tripping and stuff, but in the middle, in the dead of the winter, I'm good with going and hanging out with all the YouTubers and stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's a show that would be just before the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show.
Yep.
So that's great timing. It's that season where everybody's starting to, hey man, they're getting that itch again to get back out because their canoes are covered in snow, or all their gear is collecting dust and spider webs down in the basement. So
yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
You should get a booth there. We should actually put together a YouTuber booth there. Is what we should do.
Well, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah. I thought about that for the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show. If they had space, like available space to see about getting a spot, so you could have like YouTube celebrity area there and people come in and meet whoever. That's always a fun thing to do.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's it. I think we're done, man.
Wow, man! Don't say we're done.
Yeah, I think it's not the end.
It's not the end. I think we're finished with this episode. How's that?
There you go. Okay.
Well, hey, I have to say that holds the outdoor adventure community together, Dennis. So we're looking forward to whatever Canoehound Outdoor Adventure Show looks like this year.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Pamela. But you know what? We're kind of all the glue. You know what? You have listeners, guys from Paddling Adventures. They have livers. They have listeners. See that was a Sean Rowley right there, right?
There you go.
But it's one of those things where we all do good for the paddling community. It's communication, it's education, and like I say, let's keep it going. And I'll have to say, I'm so glad you guys have started your season, because when I take my dog for a walk or long walks on Saturdays and Sundays, I always listen to my podcast, and you guys are right up there on the list. So make them a little longer, because my walks are usually an hour and a half. And, that'd be great.
No.
All that editing.
all that editing would just kill me, man. That's why we stopped it at the end of 3.5 years.
All right. That's it for us for today. Thank you so much to our guest, Dennis, aka Canoehound from Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show on YouTube. And check us out on YouTube. Check us out on all the social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we actually have a TikTok, but nobody really posts there. So it's a bit of a ghost town there. If you would like to talk to us, you can email us anytime. We are at hi@supergoodcamping.com. That's hi@supergoodcamping.com. And we will talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.